Arihan and all present here. We, the students from Anuradha Salvi ma'am's group, are going to present a skit on child labor, presented by Dilsheen Kaur, Divyanshi Joshi, Pushpa Bhandar, Nikita Bhandari, Ashita Adam, Purnima Dhulap, and Riya Jhamtani. Now I would like to invite Dilsheen Kaur to share her views on child labor.
बेटा मत करो, ये मत करो। Child labor refers to the exploitation of children through any form of work that deprives children of their childhood, which interferes with their ability to attend regular schools and is mentally, physically, socially, and morally harmful. Such exploitation is prohibited by legislations worldwide. Although these laws do not consider all work by children as child labor. Expectations include work by child artists, family duties, supervised training, and some more. During the 19th and early 20th centuries, many children aged between 5 to 14 years from poor families used to work in Western nations and their colonies alike. These children mainly worked in agriculture, home-based services that lasted for 12 hours. In the year 2017, 4 African nations witnessed over 50% of children aged between 5 to 14 years were working. The vast majority of child labor is found in rural settings and informal rural economies. Children are predominantly employed by their parents rather than factories. Poverty and lack of schools are considered the primary cause of child labor in rural areas. Globally, the incidence of child labor has decreased from 25% to 10% between 1960 to 2003, according to the World Bank. The latest global estimates indicate that 152 million children, where 64 million girls and 88 million boys are in child labor globally, according for almost 1 in 10 of all children worldwide. Thank you.
Thank you, Dilsheen. Now let's move on to the components of child labor, which were initiated in the year 1986 by the government. Now I would like to call upon Divyanshi to enlighten us and acquaint the components of child labor.
As per Child and Adolescent Labor Prohibition and Regulation Act 1986, amended in 2016, a child is defined as a person below the age of 14. And this act prohibits employment of a child in any employment, including as a domestic help. It is a criminal offence to employ a child for any work. Children between age of 14 and 18 are defined as adolescents. And the law allows adolescents to be employed except in the listed hazardous occupation and processes, which include mining, inflammable substance and explosive related work, and any other hazardous process as per the Factory Act 1948. In 2001, an estimated 1% of all child workers, or about 1,20,000 children in India, were in a hazardous job. The Constitution of India prohibits child labor in hazardous industries as a fundamental right under Article 24. Child Labor Prohibition and Regulation Amendment Act 2016. Government has enacted the Child Labor Prohibition and Regulation Amendment Act 2016, which came into force on 1st September 2016. The Amendment Act completely prohibits the employment of children below 14 years. The amendment also prohibits the employment of adolescents in the age group of 14 to 18 years in hazardous occupation and processes and regulates their working condition where they are not prohibited. The amendment also provides stricter punishment for employers for violating of the act and making the offense of employing any child or adolescent in contravention of the act by any employer as criminal offense. Child Labor Prohibition and Regulation Amendment Rules 2017. Government of India has notified the amendment in the Child Labor Prohibition and Regulation Central Rules after extensive consultation with the stakeholders. The rules provide broad and specific framework for prevention, prohibition, rescue, and rehabilitation of child and adolescent workers. It also clarifies an issue related with family and family enterprise and definitions of family with respect to child. Specific provisions have been incorporated in rules. Further, it also provides for safeguard of artists which have been permitted to work under the Act in terms of hours of work and working conditions. The rules provide for specific provision incorporating duties and responsibilities of enforcement agencies in order to ensure effective implementation and compliance of the provision of the Act.
Thank you, Divyanshi. Now let's see the effects of child labor, presented by Pushpa and Nikita.
Yeah.
Rani, come and clean the table. Leave it here. What use is this paper of you for you?
मेरे भी कुछ ख्वाब थे. Even I wanted to be a doctor when I was young. But because I had to work here, I had to give up on that dream. And I can't go to school anymore because I have to provide for my family.
One of the most prominent effects of child labor is the lack of education. Children are either never sent to school or they are forced to drop out of school at an early age. They fail to receive education of even up to 10th or 12th grade. This further reduces their possibilities of breaking out of the cycle of
I work in a factory from morning till evening and sometimes even in the night. Because we are bonded and forced laborers, we don't have any time period for working. I have to face a lot of difficulty problems because of the chemicals in the factory. The air is filled with full of hazardous and toxic gases. We have respiratory and breathing problems. Also, I have different ailments due to these chemicals around me. Sometimes we have to overwork, but the salary and the payment that they give is very low. Also, I have physical and psychological disorders, breathing problems, hearing problems, as well as there is irritation in the nose, there is itching in the eyes, and also deafness. Due to heavy machines and chemicals all around the factory, we have respiratory problems. And our eyes become completely red. The next morning, we can't see anything. But due to the poverty conditions, we have to come and work here every day. We don't have suitable work conditions, but we even can't live without working because of the poverty conditions.
Thank you, Pushpa and Nikita. I am sure you all agree, as child labor increases, the economy falls rapidly. Therefore, young generation of rural areas don't get the chance to educate themselves and as a result, they end up doing labor work. Let's conclude our skit by moving on to the morals presented by Ashita and Purnima.
Small children do not get even 1% of childhood that we enjoyed. There's no education, no nutrition, no comfort of home. The home is there, it's not but it's not comfortable. Now, how do we take a step towards eradicating? I can't use the word eradicate, but slowly stop it. The main causes are probably finances. The families are big, they do not have money to support so many children, so obviously the children are put to work. So one small solution which comes to my mind, many though, but one which I think will be in our purview, is probably sponsor a child's education. You can tell them that I can sponsor your child's education. 2, you can inform them about the government initiatives of Balwadis and Anganwadis. These construction workers, many of them though, these Balwadis do visit these sites and inform them, and they take the children into their Balwadis and they are given the midday meals. You must have heard about it. The midday meals are given, nutrition is given, medication is given, small tonics, for the growth and development of babies and small children are given. So these are the initiatives which we can use or inculcate to stop the child labor, or rather slowly let the children start getting the education. You can even give your children's books, old books to children, to these families, so that these children can learn and write. So a few initiatives though, small baby steps, but I'm sure small drops make an ocean. Probably these small baby steps can help at least remove a little bit of child labor, reduce the child labor, at least near our community. Thank you.
Child labor. Children are supposed to be studying, working hard, and making the world a better place by gaining more knowledge, by playing, by spending time with their friends, and not just working in a chemical factory or any other workplace. They aren't supposed to do that. It is not their job. It is so harmful for them working at any kind of place. They are meant to be protected, to be healed, to be nurtured, and to be taken care of, and not them working and being under anyone else. Child labor is a sin. It's a crime. All the children have the rights to study, to gain knowledge, and to go to school. Don't be wild. Don't force a child to work. Instead, put the child in a class, not in glass. Buildings are built on big lands, but work is done by the tiny hands. Let us stop child labor and save our children, the children of earth, and give them a better future.
Thank you everyone for your valuable time. We would like to extend heartfelt gratitude to our group professor Anuradha Salvi ma'am for guiding and motivating us throughout.